Hey everyone, Scorpius here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to take some time and go over one of what I believe will be a completely broken build with the new ascendancies that popped out. And today I wanted to talk about my first league starter that I'm going to start on the new league, which is going to be the Ritualist, one of the Huntress Ascendancies actually. She's got two, the Amazon and the Ritualist. I'm going to be trying all of them, but the beginning I'm going to go with this because as far as we saw on the gameplay in the trailers, this build, or it will complement a build that's mostly avoid bleeding in and out of combat, exploding stuff going on, which is like melee, I believe, which attracts me a lot. So I'm definitely going for that build. But today I wanted to go over a few things that I managed to decipher to see some basic pathways that we can go over with this build with our first 4, 6, or 8 ascendancy points. And there are a lot of things that I noticed here based on the abilities that we saw on the database from PoE2 website, that some of these things are going to be broken and some are going to be a little bit underwhelming. But the majority that I want to talk about is to see that there's a lot of potential into these nodes, but we don't know what's coming out because don't forget the patch notes are not out yet. So whenever they are, we're going to figure out what new items we're going to be getting, which will be connected 100% with what choices we're going to make. So just for me to start out here, let's go over the right side first. So as you guys see here, there's going to be, we have life recovery rate, 2 nodes of life recovery rate. So Wildwood Persistence is going to be the main one right here, which says 5% increased life recovery rate per 5% missing life. And the small node is 10% increased life recovery rate. This is all good. It looks good, but I do think that we will have better options to go throughout the whole ascendancy. And this is going to be pretty decent for a sustain based build or a more defensive build. Again, we need to play test. We need to see how it feels and see if we're going to need this. But don't forget that this means that the lower our health is, the faster it's going to recover. And also, I think this is going to be very situational depending on how hard the monsters and bosses are going to be hitting us in the end game. So even if this is a very good node, I think it's going to start proving itself later on in the end game. So definitely it's not going to be the early starter for me, these two. But again, it's more of a sustained build, a more defensive build. I think I'm going to go a more offensive build in the beginning and have some fun with it. But that's the first line. The first branch there is life recovery. The second one, we have 4 different nodes here that extends, and it's all charm based. So the first small passive node right here gives you 15% increased charm charges gained. The second one, the big node, is intricate sigils, which you see on the left side. It gives us a +1 charm slot, 20% more charges gained. And then the extension to that is Mind Philasteries, which can instead consume 25% of maximum mana to trigger charms within sufficient charges. I think if you want to go into this, I believe that the +1 charm slot is not going to be enough, and enhancing it into the Mind Philasteries might prove to be a lot better based on the build that we're going to go. The reason why I don't think I'm going to go with this just yet, like now theory crafting and all that stuff, is because we don't know what charms they're going to release. Like we only have one, which is the unique one. But again, this is one of those cases that depends on the patch notes or what kind of items we're going to be getting, in this case, charms. And if we do have like 2 or 3 good options of charms, maybe this is going to see some play depending on what they're going to do with the charms, because GGG is definitely planning something that will increase the use of the charm slots and the charges and everything like that. So this might see some play, but again, I'm not going to put it into my early levels of my build here. Going to the third branch here is the whole ritual sacrifice thing that we saw in the trailers. Having said that, I am a little bit confused with how the ritual sacrifice is going to work. As you can see here, we get 6% movement speed with a small passive nodes if we go the full extent of the line. The first big one is the As the Whispers Ask, which that's what gives you the ability ritual sacrifice. For anybody who doesn't know what that does, is we are allowed literally to sacrifice a rare monster, and that's going to give us its modifier or modifiers. That's what I'm confused about. If you guys see right here, we have a preview of the ability, which is on the right side right here. And it says Ritual Sacrifice. Sacrifice the corpse of a rare monster to grant you its modifiers, which is plural. Also in the trailer, it seems that the Huntress that was played in the gameplay got multiple modifiers. What I'm confused about is that in the Q&A, Jonathan said modifier. I think Mark or Jonathan or both of them, whatever, they said just one modifier. I'm not sure if they are relating that to the ritual sacrifice or the self-sacrifice. Because what the self-sacrifice is the extension to it as the Whispers demand, which you do the same thing to yourself. It just removes 20% of your maximum life and you get a random monster modifier. So my point here is that ritual sacrifice sounds good. However, if it only gives us one modifier, I don't think it's going to see much play. If it gives us more, then it could prove to be pretty good. And I'm definitely going with that one if it gives us more than one, which is another reason I'm not going to go for the Whispers demand, because the pool of modifiers is insanely large. There's like 4 or 5 good options there that we can get. So if every single time I use this, I get a bad modifier, I don't think that's going to be very consistent or very reliable. So that's the other branch that we have. I'm really looking forward to see if it's going to be multiple modifiers for the ritual sacrifice, because if it is, I'm definitely going for that one. And then on the very right, we have something that I'm definitely putting points on. It's Corrupted Life Force, and the little passive right here, the small passive, gives us 20% physical damage, which is great. We need that. But this one gives us Blood Boil. And what Blood Boil does, we have it right here in the preview. Enemies in your presence accumulate blood boils periodically, and when we kill them, it erupts or pops or bursts or explodes, whatever you want to call it, and it applies corrupted blood to everything near it. So you kill one that has the blood boils, it spreads the corrupted blood to the rest, and so on and so forth. The cool thing about corrupted blood is that it's a stacking debuff and deals physical damage on everything, AoE. So I believe that this is going to be insanely good for leveling and early to mid endgame clearing maps and all that. Because it seems that this is not going to be applied to unique enemies. As you can see there on the second line, Blood Boil applies to non-unique enemies, which means that if the boss that we're about to encounter does not have like little adds, that's not obviously going to help us at all. And even if he did, it's not going to be applied to the boss because the boss is a unique enemy. So endgame, like pinnacle bosses and uber bosses and stuff like that, we might need to change this ascendancy point to something else. But I think for leveling and for early endgame, it's definitely going to be a must-have, especially with the bleed effect and all that stuff. It's going to be really cool. And then we have the left side. The left side of the tree, I believe, is the most exciting thing about this whole tree, which gives us a third ring slot with the first notable here. Unfurled Finger gives us a third slot, as we saw in the gameplay. And don't forget that rings are pretty much one of the best items in PoE2, as it gives like some of the best stats in the game. So I think having a third slot is a no-brainer. So you're gonna have 3 rings and 1 amulet, and then enhancing this branch, you go into Mystic Attunement, which gives you like a mini version of the Ingenuity Belt. It's no Ingenuity Belt, and also Mystic Attunement might suggest that they have completely reworked or nerfed the actual Ingenuity Belt. In any case, 25% bonuses gained from equipped rings and amulets means that you're going to get 25% from 3 different rings and 25% from your amulet as well. So I think this is an amazingly exciting and very, very strong path that we can take here and experiment with a third ring. It's going to be insanely cool. The only downside to this is that in order for you to get there, you need to choose one of 3 negative small passives here. The first one right here is 30% reduced maximum mana. The second one is 25% reduced spirit. And the third one is 15% reduced on all elemental resistances. I do believe that by the time we get to finishing the campaign, or even getting to Cruel at this point in the league, or early endgame, I believe that one of these 3 choices is going to become so much easier for us to pick. Just to conclude here, I think this build is going to be very, very fun. And again, it's very new. We haven't play tested. We don't have the patch notes. So I'm just theory crafting something very basic and something very obvious. Like with one glance, you can think about some options that you can go. But for now, what I'm going to say is I think early on, I'm going to go for the Corrupted Life Force, which is going to be my first 2 points. That way, I'm going to get a 20% physical damage increase, plus the Blood Boil, which is going to make my life a lot easier dealing with AoE and stuff like that through the campaign. Then the next 2 points, I'm going to go immediately into my Unfurled Finger just to get a third ring slot. I think that's going to help me quickly go through the campaign and elevate me a little bit more and get me introduced into the early game. And then the last 4 points, I'm gonna either go for Mystic Attunement just to empower everything, or I'm thinking to go for the Ritual Sacrifice if the Ritual Sacrifice gives us more than one modifier. If it does, I'm going for that one. If it doesn't, then I need to see what other options we have here. And I think the best secondary option is gonna be Intricate Sigils, but that also depends on what kind of charms we're getting. But this is the Ritualist, what I'm gonna start with, what I'm planning to do with this build. And whenever launch comes, you guys can come and check us out here on YouTube on the live or twitch.tv/Scorpius_ENT. I'm gonna do my best to quickly go through the campaign, build what could be the quickest or the most effective build that I could with the Ritualist, the Huntress, and then I'm gonna provide you guys with a detailed leveling guide as I always do, and then it will follow up with an endgame. But I will definitely try every single ascendancy. I'm right now trying to theory craft and everything, so expect other videos for the Smith of Kitava, for the Tactician, for the Amazon, which is the second Huntress Ascendancy, and of course, one of the most exciting things that was announced, the Lich, the new Witch Ascendancy as well. I'm really looking forward to play with that with the Spectres and everything. So expect more videos. Make sure that you like and subscribe if you enjoy these videos. And as always, don't forget to comment down below what you guys think about this. Do you have any other paths or any other things that you're excited about to go with the Ritualist? Or what are you guys actually going to start with? But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'm going to see you guys on the next one. Peace.